Hello everyone. We want to welcome Michael J. Redenburg in with us today. We're going to be discussing motorcycle accidents. Michael is an award-winning personal injury attorney based out of New York City. How are you doing, Michael?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Wonderful, wonderful. I'm excited to get this
As
information out
well.
there. So we're going to go over your background a little bit, give us a little bit about your history and your background with personal injury.
Sure. So I was admitted to practice law in January 2007, and I've been representing individuals injured in various types of accidents, including motorcycle accidents, car accidents, and things of that nature.
What are the common causes of motorcycle accidents?
Some of the more common causes of motorcycle accidents that I've seen um, are intersection accidents. I represented someone a year or so ago back who was hit at an intersection where there was a four-way stop sign. He stopped at the stop sign, looked, and someone speeding from the opposite direction hit him on the side. Very bad accident.
Wow.
Another accident, I represented someone in recently, a motorcycle accident in Westchester. Client was proceeding straight ahead on his motorcycle, and someone coming from the opposite direction made a left-hand turn into him to get onto a ramp when my client had the right of way. That case settled for $250,000 soon after filing the summons and complaint. The only reason that was the cutoff is because that was all the insurance that the adverse vehicle had.
Wow. So normally, what are the most important steps to take after an accident? I know one of the most important is obviously to get medical attention and get help, but what are some of the other important steps that we need to take after a motorcycle accident?
Right. So the first thing is the ambulance, get an ambulance to the scene, go to the emergency room right away. Usually motorcycle accidents result in severe injuries, so you're going to want to tend to that. If you're able to, at the scene of the accident, or if someone else is there who can assist, take photographs. Um, if you can get the insurance information, registration information of the other vehicle, although, like I said, most of the time the injuries are severe, you're not going to be able to do that. Police at the scene should be able to do it. And those are the most important first steps.
And what are the most common types of injuries that result from motorcycle accidents?
Um, yeah, they vary and they're usually substantial. I can tell you from experience of individuals I've represented in motorcycle accidents, spinal injuries are not uncommon, elbow injuries, shoulder injuries. It really runs the gamut because you're exposed. A motorcyclist is exposed. There's no frame to protect them like in a car. And so you're landing body first on the ground. Most of the time, the helmets do a pretty good job protecting the head and the cranium, but still have an MRI done of your head, after the accident once you're out of the emergency room, because that's not something they're going to do in the emergency room. They take X-rays and get you in and out, tend to what needs to be tended to right away, because they have 500 more people waiting to get into that emergency room.
Wow. But I'm glad to hear that the helmets actually help.
They do. They certainly do. I've had clients, sometimes you see people who ride certain types of motorcycles. They have like just the helmet that it's not a real helmet. It's just there kind of like to kind of make it seem like you're obeying the helmet law.
Wow.
And people who are wearing DOT approved, Snell approved, full face helmets often fare better than people who are not.
Wow. And what are some of the most challenging elements of dealing with these types of accident cases?
So the big issue is that in an auto accident case, regardless of fault, each person in their own car, they look to their auto insurance to cover their medical expenses and their medical treatment. With motorcycles, it doesn't work that way. There's no coverage. So you have to find a way to get medical attention either through your own medical insurance, or I'm fortunate enough to having been practicing in this area of law for more than a decade. I have a network of doctors who will oftentimes treat motorcycle victims, motorcycle accident victims, that is, on a lien basis, which means that they won't pay until the case is settled. So they can get the treatment they need, get the help they need, and not have to worry about paying out of pocket initially.
This is probably why it's not a good idea to go to a criminal lawyer or a family lawyer. I mean, they may specialize in a family law, someone who's dealing with child custody all week, or divorce, or even DWIs on the criminal end, may not be very well equipped to handle personal injury cases. And I've seen that. I've worked at law firms, and I remember a bankruptcy attorney trying to do a personal injury case, and it was terrible.
Yeah, no, it's good to stick to stay in lane, so to speak.
Yeah,
No
stay in
pun
your lane.
intended.
If you
But
suffered an injury, you want an experienced personal injury attorney. You do not want to go to a bankruptcy lawyer for this.
no, I don't handle divorce. I don't handle bankruptcy. So you wouldn't want to come to me for those areas either.
How do you go about proving faults?
Well, the police report's a great asset. Witness statements, photographs. That's another great thing. At the scene, if you're able to, get the names of witnesses, phone numbers at least, anything that you'll be able to use to contact them later. Those are the three major things: the police report, witness statements, and photographs.
Okay. And what role do insurance companies play in these claims? I know that most people probably get some type of offer that they shouldn't accept before speaking to an attorney. So what role do they play?
Yeah, so you should immediately, once you're out of the hospital and you're able to get about, seek out professional help, get an attorney. Because, especially in motorcycle accidents, a lot of times the insurance carrier for the adverse vehicle will contact you directly if you're not already represented and make you an offer. $1,000, $5,000, $10,000. And it might be enticing, especially if you're not familiar with these claims, how much they are worth, and if you're in a bad situation, precarious situation where you need money, right? If you don't have doctors that will treat you, if you haven't seen a lawyer who can recommend you to doctors who will treat you on a lien basis, and you need money to get treatment, you might be inclined to grab that $5,000 or $10,000. And they'll take advantage of you. Insurance companies are for-profit businesses, so they'll take advantage of you. And before you sign that check and get that check for $5,000 or $10,000, you're going to sign a general release. That release will then end any rights you will have to bring a lawsuit thereafter, and you're done.
Wow. That's important to know because some injuries don't even manifest themselves completely. And you may accept a $10,000 check. It may sound wonderful. And a couple months down the line, you find out that you actually need shoulder surgery or some wrist surgery or who knows what, or some kind of bleeding that wasn't tended to internally, and you've now accepted $10,000. So you're kind of like signing your life away for $10,000.
Yeah, that's a great point. It's true that a lot of injuries don't manifest for days or sometimes weeks after. I've had clients who they come in weeks later and they said, I didn't have any intention of bringing a lawsuit. I thought I'd tough it out. I thought I'd rest a little, maybe do a little exercise, whatever it is, ice packs, hot pads, whatever they use, and it'll go away.
Yeah.
And a lot of times that's not the case. What happens is when you're in an accident, right, your body, there's an adrenaline rush, right? So that will oftentimes mask the pain and the injury, right? And it's not until much later that those injuries manifest. I've had clients that it wasn't until weeks after they after the accident that they received initial treatment, and they subsequently needed surgery. So that's how interesting it is that it's not always right away that you feel that pain and that need for treatment.
Yeah, and don't troop it. Don't troop it. Don't get all scraped up and you have a little neck. Maybe you have a stiff neck or a stiff shoulder, and you YouTube on how to stretch your neck. Everybody wants to go to Google MD, but a Tylenol is not going. It's only going to mask pain that needs to be tended to.
Right.
There's a statute of limitations involved for personal injury cases. What is that statute of limitations in New York?
So in New York, the statute of limitations in personal injury actions, including motorcycle accidents, is 3 years from the date of the accident. But you certainly don't want to wait that long to start treating because, here's a big issue, right? So let's say you wait 2 or 3 months to start receiving treatment. The insurance company for the adverse vehicle is going to exploit that. And they're going to say, well, first of all, we don't know what happened to this person from the date of the accident until that 3 month mark when they first saw treatment. Maybe there was a subsequent accident. Maybe they aggravated their injury by going back to work, trying to tough it out and not getting immediate treatment. Right? So they're always going to have an angle. And so you don't want to look at that 3 year statute of limitations and think that, you have all the time in the world.
That makes sense. That makes sense because you might get busy. You might have a family, you have children, you have 2 jobs, who knows what, but you have to address this issue because the longer you take to file a claim, that doesn't look good. It's almost like, oh, are you sure you were really injured during this accident? 6 months elapsed between the time you filed the claim and the accident. So I think that, if you didn't get a chance to do it in that 6 month period, still, I suggest, reaching out to a personal injury attorney, but the sooner the better. Definitely the sooner the better. And what type of compensations do victims get in cases like motorcycle accidents?
So they'll be entitled to pain and suffering. If they were out of work, which often is the case with motorcycle accidents, might be entitled to lost wages. Loss of consortium if they have a partner and they're not able to engage in activity with that partner that they were previously. That's called loss of consortium. And any out-of-pocket expenses they may have incurred, Uber trips, any kind of devices, maybe a cane or a boot if it was their foot, things like that. Those are all available forms of compensation in a personal injury accident concerning a motorcycle.
And are there any, for example, if I have to be out of work and my employer doesn't cover the cost of that leave that was a result of a personal injury or a motorcycle injury, is there some sort of compensation that the injured receives?
So in a motorcycle accident,
like a loan
in a motorcycle accident, that would kind of be worked into the settlement amount. In a car accident case, through no fault, you can look to your own car insurance company to get up to $2,000 a month.
Okay. That's where I was confused because I know for car, obviously it's different. So for motorcycle, that's something that's worked into the settlement. That's good to know. The question was, why is it important to have legal representation from an experienced motorcycle accident attorney? What is your advice on that?
Yeah, so I think we covered a lot of it. One is, you're likely to get a letter or a call from an insurance company representative from the adverse vehicle and make you a quick lowball offer. Probably not in your best interest to accept that. And if you've already retained a lawyer and your lawyer has put them on notice of that representation, they won't call you. Also, the issue of getting medical treatment, you might not know where to go, where to turn. If you don't have health insurance at all, there's no fault to cover your medical bills. So you need to have a lawyer that has a network of doctors that would be willing to treat you on a lien basis, and just to guide you through the process. It really is a lot to do and a lot to handle, and you're better off focusing on getting better and have a lawyer focus on everything else.
A lot of people generally assume that lawyer equals I have to cut a check. So if I want to call a personal injury attorney, he's going to charge me. Like they're under the impression that they actually get charged up front for their personal injury case.
No, that's not the case at all, Casey. So in a motorcycle accident case, almost all personal injury lawyers, including myself, will handle the case in a contingency fee basis, meaning that we don't get compensated unless you recover, right? So it's a 33 1/3% contingency fee. Take off my expenses off the top, then a third, and then the client receives the balance of that amount tax-free. And And so there's
Tax-free.
no out-of-pocket expense for the client.
That's important. Don't assume when it comes to personal injury that you are actually paying a retainer up front. It's a contingency. Any other advice that you might want to give to anyone injured in a motorcycle accident?
Just the first thing is, make sure you get medical attention. Get to a hospital, have x-rays done, and make sure that you're good enough to at least leave, and then get medical treatment thereafter. Retain a personal injury lawyer to protect your legal interests, and that's pretty much it.
All important. Don't wait 6 months. Get treatment, leave the hospital, and make sure that you have follow-up plans, follow up on your injuries. I know most people think it's okay to just grab a few Tylenols or an Aleve and rough it out for a few weeks, but we have a statute of limitations, and the closer you are to the date of the injury, it's probably better than waking up a year later and saying, these knees, they don't work anymore. Must have been that accident I had.
Good point.
Well, thank you so much, Michael. I appreciate your insights, sharing your expertise with us. Is there anything else that you might want to add?
That's all. Thank you very much for the time, Casey.
Thank you. Thank you for joining. Thank you for tuning in. And please, this will be posted on our YouTube, but this will also be posted on Attorney Michael Redenburg's YouTube. Please stay tuned and follow and subscribe so that you can continue to get insight and information from Michael.